Hello, welcome back to the Content Bite. We are a podcast to help writers of all kinds create a thriving business and a career that they love. I'm Rachel Smith. I'm a freelancer, content producer, and the founder of the jobs board Rachel's List. And my co-host is, of course, Lynn Testoni. Hello, Lynn Testoni.
Hello, Rachel Smith. How are you?
I was doing that in, like a radio announcer type voice. So I don't know if I cracked it.
Fabulous. So fabulous. I'm very impressed. So my name is Lynn Testoni and I'm also a content creator, writer and journalist. And this week we're really excited to take a deep dive into Google My Business. And it's something that a lot of freelancers don't know about, or they just do the bare minimum, but you can do so much more with it, can't you?
Absolutely. I think, what we were saying even before the podcast started is that a lot of people don't really know even what it is and how they can sort of maximize it. And I know a little bit about it. I'm sure you do too, but I think generally we're pretty clueless, which is why we have brought on the super accomplished Katie Hull, who's going to talk to us about all things Google My Business. And I'm just going to do a little intro for Katie, who I met many years ago when I was a movie reviewer. And luckily, we've stayed in touch ever since because she is a top chick. Here's a bit about Katie. She's a creative digital, social media and communications specialist. And her experience spans multiple industries, including entertainment, recruitment, and health and fitness. She's managed digital and PR comms strategy for Roadshow, Films, Warner Brothers Entertainment, HBO, as well as digital marketing and local SEO strategies for fitness franchises, including Anytime Fitness. And Katie has recently founded Hello Communications, primarily as she's passionate about educating business owners on digital and social media marketing and helping businesses of all sizes realize that digital marketing is within anyone's reach. And when she's not elbow deep in analytics and social media insights, you'll find her searching for Sydney's perfect coffee. I think I've been dragged to a few new coffee shops in her quest for good coffee. So it is so great to have you on the show, Katie. A very big welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Lynn and Rach, for having me. I'm a huge fan of the show, so I'm really excited to be here. Slightly guilty about dragging you to coffee shops when you're such an English breakfast fan.
Yeah, she's a tea person, really.
Sydney needs more tea shops.
It really upsets people when I say, no, I'll just have tea, and they are really hardcore coffee people. But I like the smell of coffee. I'm always smelling my husband's coffee beans when he's roasting them and stuff, but it's too bitter for me. I just don't like it.
We'll get you there one day.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Convert you to the dark side. Yeah.
That's right. Well, look, we've got you here to talk about something. Well, not coffee. We could go on about that all day, but Google My Business. I mean, it's so important for a freelancer, but maybe we should start by talking about what it actually is and how do you actually use it for people that are going, never heard of that.
Yeah, Google My Business. I fell in love with Google My Business when I started working with so many local businesses and realized that all of these local businesses, freelancers included, really don't know what it is and how to access it and how to get the benefits of it. Google My Business is not Google magic. It's a tool that Google set up it was only 6 years ago. It's not that old. And it was really set up to support local SEO. So its purpose is to give users or searchers really targeted results in a particular area. It's grown and developed, and Google have developed it to a point now where they want Google page one to be your business's main page. So, Google, Facebook, they're all the same. They don't want you to leave their platform. So you can search for anything on Google and you will generally get your answer there and you won't have to click off. So apologies to everyone who has spent a million hours developing their own website. It is very important. However, according to Google, they want users to stay on Google. And the best way to do that is by optimizing your Google My Business profile. So you've got as much of your business info front and center to answer users' requests.
So are you saying you almost replicate a lot of your website onto your Google My Business listing?
Yeah.
It's important to keep it up to date, isn't it? Because I know like people use it a lot on things like public holidays or unusual times of the year to see, are you open? All those sort of things. It's a bit more dynamic compared to a website.
Definitely, especially for bricks and mortar shops and businesses and service-based doctor surgeries and things like that. Yeah, keeping your hours up to date and refreshed is critical. But for freelancers, it's actually critical for any business, full stop. Because if you think about it, how do people find businesses these days? It's not by searching Instagram or Facebook, it's Google. And if you haven't managed or optimized your Google My Business profile, you're basically a shop that has shut its front door and it isn't answering when someone comes a knocking. That's how I like to sort of explain it to small businesses.
So freelancers that don't have a Google My Business listing, what are they missing out on?
It's really those warm users that are searching for a copywriter or, a graphic designer. They're missing out on that because firstly, everyone that does have a Google My Business profile will rank higher than they will be. So straight away, it's a you're pushed down and you'll sort of be on page 2+. But like Lynn was saying, it's free and it's a chance to showcase what you do in the biggest platform in the world. It's sort of a no-brainer not to set it up. It's there, it's free, and it just gives you so much more opportunity to showcase your wares. And I also think really looking at freelancers, especially in this, post-COVID or whatever we're in era, the freelance marketplace is just so competitive. And, you just sort of have to look at Google Trends for the last year. I was looking at this the other day, there's been a 4 times increase in job-related searches for freelancers since the start of COVID. Like it's a flat line for 5 years and then it just jumps. And then if you sort of combine that with all the freelance marketplace options that are out there now, like Fiverr and Upwork, and there's so many of those, you as a Rachel Smith freelance copywriter are competing with all of that. So again, having your Google My Business profile as up to date as possible puts you in a better position to be able to compete with those bigger players.
So it's really, you're saying it's something you can't afford not to do. Like you just have to do it. I will say that actually since I started, giving mine a bit more love, I'm noticing clients are coming to me direct from that. Like I don't even know if they've been to my website. They literally have found me on my Google My Business listing and have rung me from that. So that's quite interesting too.
Google's a beast, and the way I like to sort of think about it, the more you feed it and the more you feed it, the more it will reward you with better visibility. So if you've spent time refreshing and updating your profile, you're basically giving Google more info. You're sending those signals to Google that, hey, I'm here, I'm fresh, my business is doing great. There's a lot of back and forth. So it will push you higher up. But little tip, there is a way you can find out exactly whether those people that are calling you are coming from Google My Business. You use a UTM tracking code in your Google My Business profile, so it separates it within your website analytics. Because in Google Analytics, it's a funny thing why they don't separate it anyway, but in your analytics, Google My Business is considered organic. So it lumps organic and Google My Business together. But if you track it separately, you'll be able to see how many people came in on GMB and how many people came in organically. And in my experience, it's 9 out of 10 times when you break down that traffic, it's Google My Business.
So how do you get that? How do you get that code and put it in?
So going slightly off topic, but a UTM tracking code is really easy to do yourself. And if you just Google UTM tracking code, it's basically just it's appending your website URL with a couple of bits of information so that you can see it in Google Analytics as GMB. There's a Chrome extension that you literally just click on the Chrome extension and you just populate exactly what you want to put in there, what you want to call it, and then just put that link back in your Google My Business profile. So instead of it being rachelsmith.com.au, it might be rachelsmith.com.au, and then it will have a few other bits of code at the end
Yep.
to tell Google that it comes from GMB.
That is a great tip. I'm definitely going to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
We're both gonna we're gonna sit there and start Googling. So if you're just starting out putting up your Google My Business listing together, what do you need to know in regards right from the start to set it up?
Right from the start. So the first few steps can be a little bit fiddly, but once you're done, you're really on your way. You need to claim your business in Google and verify it. So it's really important to know that if you don't claim your business, and this is probably more relevant for bricks and mortar businesses, but you will still be on Google if you haven't claimed it, but it's basically Google will pull all the information that it knows from various sources and cobble together its own profile of what it thinks your business is. So that's why you claim your own business. Yes, this is my business. And then you verify it. And Google wants to know that you're legit. So it's kind of an old school system, but they want generally Google will send you a postcard with a code, and then you go back into your profile, you verify yourself. It is really self-guided. Once you start, it's very step-by-step, and Google do make it as easy as possible. I think the most important thing for listeners to sort of take away is that freelancers will fall under a service-based business in that category. So you don't need to list your physical business. That often turns people off, thinking that they need to list a physical business. You don't have to. There's tick box options to sort of turn that off if you don't want your home address shown up. And you can also, as a service-based business, this is only a fairly recent update, is you can now get quite specific in what you do, because Google's categories don't allow for a lot of freelance sort of job
They're much
titles.
more conventional you know, plumber, builder.
Yes.
Well,
there's 4,000 categories, but funnily enough, there's no writer, there's no copywriter, there is graphic designer, but the closest we would come is consultant or marketing consultant.
I think that's what I'm under.
Agency.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. But you can now append that, so you can add in your own services. So you can get quite as specific as you want. SEO writer, copywriter, content marketing, they can all be listed under your services.
I also have added to the Google My Business. I did this in January on my, sort of break, and I added my Calendly link so people can book an appointment. And I've actually had a few clients that way. So it's quite interesting. Yeah.
Anything that makes it easy, and this is what Google will tell you, anything that makes it easy for searchers to contact you or find out the information that they want from your profile is a great thing. So you can turn on messaging so that people can just message directly from their phone if they're finding you via their phone.
And Google tend to send you emails. I get emails from Google reminding before public holidays, before various things, saying, is your listing up to date? And that's quite good, because they know when people are likely to be searching. So taking their tips is a good idea.
Yeah,
I like
definitely.
I like the emails they send where they go, wow, your photo got 25 views. It's very popular.
Yes, they're very good at promoting themselves, aren't they? They know how to do it.
But they also know what works. So going with their advice is a good thing. I mean, photos is a good point. The more photos you have, the better you'll rank, and go with their advice, definitely.
Oh, yeah. So what do we need to know when we're setting it up? Is there anything that you need to do right at the start or that you should be mindful of?
So setting it up, there's probably a dozen different, like setting up any kind of profile, there's a dozen or so different things you need to have, but generally it's all pretty much the kinds of things you would have as a business anyway. So a business description, try and use the majority of the character count that Google allow. Keep your keywords in mind, but of course don't keyword stuff the whole description. It's Google, it's not Facebook or Instagram. So try and show personality, but keep it fairly fact-based. You need your logo, that kind of thing. And then the biggest thing when setting it up is back to that point of you need to be feeding Google as much information as possible. So there's so many different options within Google My Business to fill in. Use all of them, or use as many as is relevant. So we've talked about services, fill in your services. There's also a section called products. And whilst freelancers think, oh, well, we don't sell, men's shoes, women's shoes, get a bit creative and use the product section to highlight the different things that you do. So even if one of your products is content, then underneath product, you can have all the different types of content products that you offer. So strategy or blog posts. The more information you put into your profile, the more chances that you'll be the one that answers a user's query.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought. I mean, in the Google My Business listing for Rachel's list, we do have products on the toolkit. So I've populated that with our, all our offerings there. But it wouldn't have occurred to me to use it in that way as a freelancer. I mean, perhaps as a package, you could put packages in there, couldn't you? So if you sell a content package or a copywriting and social package, or, you write a lead magnet package that someone can buy, they could potentially be products, I suppose.
Definitely. There is an option in products to include the price, but if you don't put it, it doesn't look messy or anything like that, but you can easily, put in prices as well on top of that But anything you do, I would suggest put it on there, fill it up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about Google reviews. I was all over the shop with my reviews for so many years. I was like, what do I do? Do I just get it over email from someone, then I've got it and I can use it? Or do I get them to put a review on my Facebook page or whatever? It really took me ages to get my head around where you want to request reviews to come from. And now all my reviews are on Google My Business listing. But what I wanted to talk to you about was something a bit more than that, about how you ask for reviews in a way that's going to, give you the best social proof possible. Like, instead of just having a review that says Rachel did XYZ for me and it was great, signed the client. How can you get meatier Google My Business reviews when you're essentially just giving someone that review link that you get in the back end of the Google My Business listing?
Yeah, it's so... if you take away nothing from today, it's that reviews are absolutely critical to Google My Business and to making them work and to getting you up the rankings. In terms of specific reviews, couldn't agree more. It's definitely the next level, and it does definitely help. I would say the best is to be consistent, get in the habit of sending those reviews, have templates handy. So that's what I like to do is you obviously have to tailor it for each client, but have a template that asks really politely for a review, but try and get specific. So, something like, it would be really appreciated if you could leave a review about the blog posts I've been doing and how they've helped your website traffic grow by blah. So kind of put the words in their mouths, and then 9 times out of 10 they should get it and write back with the same thing. I mean, I find with a lot of clients when they do reviews, they're happy to write them, and then generally most of them say, please feel free to tweak it if you need it.
But with Google My Reviews, they put it in themselves, don't
you
they?
can't tweak it.
They would put it in themselves. For sure. Unless they're, I've had a few that will sort of send it to you first and then put it on Google. But if they put it straight in, then I just suggest the wording or put it as sort of politely as possible. And, if they're a good enough client that they're giving you a nice review and that you're asking for one, I would think that they should sort of follow your lead and get quite specific. But you are right, it does make a difference to add that specific stuff in there, and it actually makes a difference to your local SEO. If you think about a review that just says Rachel did a great job versus Rachel did a great job at our content marketing strategy and our blog posts, they're all keywords.
And that helps your traffic too, I'm guessing, because it keeps boosting you up in the rankings the more reviews you get and the fresher they are.
Definitely. And almost as importantly as that is responding to reviews. So you as the business owner need to respond to every single review as quickly as you can, not 3 months later, and good and bad reviews. I've worked with so many businesses that, do regularly get bad reviews, and they're often not the business's fault, but it's more important to respond to those negative reviews or those bad reviews as it is to respond to the positive ones. But again, it's another signal to Google. If you're responding to every single review, that's a form of engagement. And we know Facebook and Instagram, it's the same way. They'll boost you if you're engaging. It's the same with Google.
So should we be posting our content onto our Google My Business listing as soon as we post it on our sites? Because I'm a bit confused. Tell me how that works.
Yeah, definitely. It's almost as important to get it up on Google My Business as soon as it's on your website. So Google want Google My Business to be your new website. So the more you put into it, the more Google will love you. And the way you really do that, I think you're probably referring to posts, Lynn.
Yeah.
So having those posts which appear towards the bottom of your profile, they're a fantastic opportunity to target your audience and zone in on keywords specific to different parts of your audience, and also build authority for your listing. There is actually research showing a positive correlation now between using posts and regularly posting and improved rankings. So even for those people that know Google My Business, they're not actually using posts. So think of it like a social media post. Think it's very similar to a social media post. You pick an image, put on your text, you get to choose a call to action. The difference being it's not social, it's Google. So you don't have to be as fun and fluffy and social. You can be quite factual. But again, having these come through fairly consistently on your profile is that signal to Google that you're up to date and refreshed. And there's countless ideas, I guess, that freelancers could use in terms of posts. So apart from if you've got a key sort of selling point, book a free SEO consult, or your latest blog post definitely should be up there. Yep. Or a really good one that people often don't think about is your testimonials. So use testimonials as a post. And I'm not actually sure if this is live in Australia yet, but Google now has a tool that will automatically suggest to you that you've got a 4 or 5 star rating. Why don't you use it as a Google My Business post? And it will set it up in a template for you. So it's pretty much click and, accept and click, and it will post it for you. But if it's not available, then you should be doing it yourself anyway.
So essentially, when you're putting a post together for all your other socials, you should also do one for Google at the same time, and just get into the habit of doing that regularly.
Definitely. Even more, it should be the number one thing you do, and then Facebook and Instagram. Yeah. You need to flip it around.
Yeah, I use LinkedIn a lot, and that's a bit more professional. So maybe that's a good tone. Definitely. LinkedIn and Google would be a similar tone, unlike, as you say, Facebook and Instagram. Yeah. Yeah,
definitely. No emojis, no hashtags on Google My Business. Straightforward. Keep some keywords in there. Don't stuff it, but also you don't need the fluff.
Yeah.
People are on Google to find something. They're not there to be entertained, generally speaking.
Yeah.
With the photos, like I know I've kind of, hit a brick wall with that sort of thing, because with Rachel's list, obviously we don't have a physical business, and the Google My Business listing is always like, put a photo of your front of your business or where you all work and stuff like that. Do you think it's still worth putting things like selfies up of you in your office, or is that the kind of thing that will work, or not really?
This is probably the hardest thing for service-based businesses and for businesses that don't have a physical product. It's so important. There's so much research to show that businesses with photos have, roughly around a third more clicks to their website than those that don't. However, you shouldn't use stock photos. Google has been known to take those down. It does need to be relevant. And the idea is that the best things that I've seen is, yes, put up photos of yourself at work. I definitely avoid, the Friday night drink photos or the Friday night selfies. It does need to be relevant, but definitely to include some for personality purposes and to show who you are. People do want to work with people, so it's really important you do that. Other ideas, though, sort of looking beyond, yourself, anything that you've created, anything visual you've created, like maybe an infographic, or, it could be a visual that doesn't need to give away what the actual work was, or the client, the client was, what they did. Use quote cards. They're huge. So similar to like a quote card that you'd put on Instagram or Facebook, put it on Google with a stat, or something that you can include your own branding on. But they're really important as well, because if you think about how many people use those, people are searching within images. That's where all of these kind of assets are going to pop up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. I know you mentioned to me as well that you can use Google My Business to whisper, stalk your competitors. Talk us through that and why you should be doing it.
So yeah, there is a really cool way that you can have a look at what your competitors are doing that are ranking higher than you. So really, it's to look at what categories they're listing themselves under. So if you consistently see the same sort of competitors ranking above you, it's kind of like a housekeeping thing I would do is, okay, how have they set up their Google My Business profile? What am I missing here? You would find them in Google Maps, and then you right click on their business category. So if they're listed as marketing consultant, right click on their marketing consultant, or hover over that, right click on, and then if you go view page source, it will bring up the code for their entire profile. And if you do a simple control find and just type in category, you'll be able to see all the categories that they've listed themselves in. So that's
really interesting.
Yeah. And it's sometimes you'll find something that you'd never thought of before, and it's just an interesting way to see what they're doing and how they've set themselves up.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I wanted to say, to go back to like ultimate basics, is that a lot of people don't do this, even though it seems obvious, is to Google themselves.
Yeah.
Somebody actually told me, and this is partly being a parent of a teenager, on the first of each month, it's a good idea to Google yourself. And sometimes then you find out where you've been tagged in things that you may not know of, you might have been mentioned, that you may have lost in the translation, and just make sure that there's not somebody with the same name as you coming up doing something unexpected, or maybe not even that you're comfortable with. So those sort of, it's a good housekeeping thing to do. Yes.
Yeah.
And it is also good to, on the first of the month, Google your teenagers as well.
I mean, it's a really good point. And what in regards to your Google My Business, it's actually a public, it's your listing, but it's still a public profile that other people can make changes to or suggestions to. So whilst I think probably for listeners, it's probably not going to be too much of a concern, people can edit your listing or make suggestions to edit your listing. So it's really important to make sure your profile is up to date, you're refreshed, and you're looking at it all the time.
Katie, is there anything else that's important for freelancers to know about using Google My Business?
I mean, I think for freelancers, probably the biggest thing to realize is why you should be using it, or remember is why you should be using it. And I really think that shift in the last couple of years has made it super critical to make sure that you're doing all of you can. So that rise of the gig economy and the increase in competitiveness for freelancers has meant that ensuring your online presence is as visible as possible is really important to standing out. In terms of that, increasing your visibility as well, if you think about it, it's easier to compete against something like copywriters in Bondi versus just copywriters. So if you don't have your Google My Business listing optimized, you'll be thrown into that generic, okay, I'm competing with all copywriters. However, if your GMB profile is set up correctly and it's got your service areas, you'll only be competing against those service areas. So whilst there's not, it might be a smaller amount of people that are searching, it's better to pop up on page 1 of that as opposed to page 6, when people are just searching generally. But in terms of the actual profile, remember that people that are searching are warm leads. They're already interested. So it's important to put in as much info as you can. So use up every piece of real estate possible, posts, services, products. Make sure your description is as up to date and as good as it can be. And really just sort of get your head around the fact that if your profile isn't as set up as it can be, it's really like you're just not answering that shop door and you're sitting out the back when people come knocking.
How awesome. Oh my goodness. I feel so inspired to go and make changes to my Google My Business listings right now, and starting with that code thing that you mentioned, but we will put that in the show notes. There'll be a bit more information about that, and also about Katie and how you guys can track her down and follow her. Katie, thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge about this. I think it's going to be really helpful for a lot of freelancers out there, don't you, Lynn?
I do. I think it's really interesting. I'm certainly going to take more time to get some reviews myself. And actually, even while we're talking about this, Rachel, I have established a Google My Business listing for the Content Bite.
Huh?
So you can leave a review for the Content Bite
on Google My listing. How funny.
Listing for the Content Bite. So go into that and sort of leave us a review there as well. And
that's actually just given me an idea for posts on my listing. I could post about the latest episodes and stuff like that, which I don't do.
Yeah,
so
no, I haven't either. Oh, the world is opening up, Rachel.
The world is opening up on Google My Business listing. We're going to be experts.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
I'd like to say more opportunities rather
than
work.
That's right.
How about that?
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, that's great.
So, and we love reviews on either your podcast platform or on Google My Business. So thank you for listening this week. And thank you so much, Katie, for giving us your time. We've learned so much.
Thank you. No worries. Thank you both.
Okay. Well, we will see you all next week with another episode. Thanks again for listening. Bye, everybody.
Bye.